All right, so we're on this one. Let's do that. So knowing this, we're over here now. So we're going to solve. So you have two ways of solving this. You can divide everything by 4. Yes, you can divide by numbers, no problem. Or you can common factor it out. Either way is going to get you the same answer. Okay, I'll do both. I'll just start it with both ways, but let's do one. So here, if I said, okay, I'm going to bring the 160 over. 160 equals 4x cubed. So I'm bringing it over. Divide both sides by 4. Yes, you are allowed to divide by a number. Yes, that's fine. So 40 equals x cubed. Okay. I'll put or, because some people do it by the factoring. So I'll do an or statement here. That's fine. Oops, I'm going to do green here. Right, so or. Okay, and I'll do it by factoring. So if you're like, oh, I was going to factor, that's fine as well. So I'll finish this one. So here, when we get to this part, what do we do now? If it's third, I want to do third root of 40. And now we go, I bet you she wants exact. So unless I say decimals, we keep exact. Okay, so third root of that. Is there a nice perfect cube that I can take in there? So it's going to be 8, 27, 64. So 8 or 27, 8. 8 works. So we're going to go perfect cube 8 times 5. Take out the perfect cube and make it 2. And third root of 5 left over x. That's beautiful. Gorgeously exact. Didn't have to go to decimal. We don't need our calculators at all. Okay. The other option is if you went, okay, I kept it and I common factored. That's fine, right? Same thing. You would take each factor, set it equal to 0. This one gives me nothing. There's no x. So you would take this one and go x cubed minus 40 equals 0. So you would still do the same thing, and you would get x cubed equals 40, and same. Okay, so either way is good. Good for that. Moving on. All right. So now we've got all this lovely stuff. Let's try it again. So this next one, we've got, again, the instructions for this was solve, right? So the instructions from the beginning of the question was still solve. So we're going to make it equal 0. So I want it to equal 0, so we're going to bring it over here. So it should equal 0, please, right? Because it's like roots, x-intercepts. I need it to equal 0. I'm going to bring this guy over. So 0 equals 3x to the 5 minus 24x cubed plus 36x. Okay. Now, for this one, I am going to, for sure, common factor out first. I'm going to have two kind of different ways to solve it, so I'll show you in a second. So 0 equals, I'll common factor 3x out. So I'm going to get x to the 4 minus 8x squared, and this will be plus 12. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you two different ways to solve this. Again, I'm trying to go through the different scenarios. So, like, not every question will have, like, a third root like this. I'm trying to go over the different scenarios. You know how to solve x's. You know how to solve x squared. Just be careful of auto-correcting stuff. So now we got cubes and stuff. We're okay. This one here sometimes throws us off. We have a power of 4, a power of 2, and then a single number. This is actually a trinomial. This is something that you could factor. Okay, and I'm going to show you two different ways to solve it. I'm going to do it with factoring, and I'm also going to do it with the quadratic formula. Okay, so my first method, I would probably go, oh, I could factor that. So usually that's the one that you can kind of see maybe a little bit better. How do I know I can factor it? Because it's x squared and x squared, which gets me x to the 4. And in the middle term is just x squared. Does that make sense? So if I was to give you, and I said, okay, what if I was to give you x to the 6, what would the next two terms have to be to make it a trinomial? Something, right? So question mark, so plus question mark, x to the 3, right? And then just a number. Does that make sense? So if this was x to the 8, it would be x to the 4 and then some number, right? So plus some number. If I had x to the 9, no, can't do it. I can't get half of it in the middle, so it's not. Won't be able to do it. Okay, so it has to be half. Does that make sense? And then it makes a trinomial. So that's a trinomial. It's just harder to recognize. Again, I'm trying to go through the hard scenarios, right? Like wouldn't have recognized that. That is a trinomial. So you can factor it. Okay, so you can factor it. Multiplies to 12, adds to -8. So that gets me a -6 and a -2, and adds to -8. It's beautiful. Then I keep going. Right, so we keep going, and we're going to say, okay, this guy, and this guy. So we're going to get x equals 0 for that one. Here, x squared minus 6 equals 0, and then x squared minus 2 equals 0. Okay, so x squared equals 6, so x equals plus and minus root 6. Does that make sense? We're going from a squared to the root. Here, x squared equals 2, x equals plus and minus root 2. We good? Okay, so we get all those answers. I'll do a little summary thing right now, and then I'm going to show you how to use the quadratic formula for it, though. Right, so I'm going to still summarize. So therefore, x equals 0, plus and minus root 6, and plus and minus root 2. Okay, that's done. All right. If I wanted to use the quadratic formula, so I'm just going to do an OR. So OR, and I'm going to use the quadratic formula. Okay, so quadratic formula. Because technically, if we know it's a trinomial, right, from here, so from this step, let's grab this guy here. This is running out. Okay, from that step, as soon as I see it's a trinomial, technically I could go to the quadratic formula. So from that step, I can go straight to the quadratic formula and go, wait, I know I could use that. Okay, and then usually we're okay with the quadratic formula. Let me just remind you of it. So it's going to be negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. True? No. I'm wrong. I'm going to take a mark off myself. What did I forget to do? So when I teach grade 10 and 11, I make my students do this. Okay. Yes, x equals. Is that what I'm going to put here? Oh, is it x? That's the right variable. It's x squared. So when you factor it, you do it automatically. You go x squared times x squared is x to the 4, right? Makes sense. X squared times x squared meets in the middle. Good. When you're solving here, what goes on the side is x squared because it's whatever you're solving for. Like you automatically do it, and I'm always telling everyone what variable you're solving for. Is it x? Is it y? Is it t? What variable? But here, because it's 4, you're actually solving, this quadratic formula is solving for the factored. So you're factored here, you know, x squared times x squared is x4. That's what you're solving for here. So that is the tricky part. So you go to use the quadratic formula and you'll get a different answer if you don't put x squared, because you lose half your answers. You go x. Actually, and they're wrong too, so I'll show you at the end. You'll have the wrong answers and you lost a squared. So that's the tricky part if we give you a higher order here. Okay, and we haven't done that a lot, right? And when we did, we only had you factor it, but we didn't usually solve for it, right? But to solve for it, it matches. So it's whatever you would have put here is what you're solving for. So then let's go ahead and solve, and I'll show you it works out the same. So this will be negative, so it's from here, so 8 plus or minus negative 8 squared 4 times, so it's from here, I'm solving this yellow. It's 1 and 12. You don't have to show me the ones if you don't want to, so 2 times 1. This gets me 8 plus or minus, that becomes 16, right? So it's 4 over 2. Sorry, that was messy. Okay? So that becomes 16, which is 4. So then you get for my answer here, 8 plus 4, so it's 12 divided by 2, you get 6, comma, and then 8 minus 4, so 4 divided by 2, 2. And you go, my answers are 6 and 2. That's different. And it's not different. Because look, you're solving for x squared, which is what you would have factored for, right? So you're solving for actually what your two variables would be. So you have to keep going. X squared equals 6, x squared equals 2, and then you get x equals plus minus root 6, x equals plus minus root 2, and then you're going to have the same. Okay, it should be the same answers. Right? So either way you do it, quadratic or factor, you should get the same answers. It's tricky because of that squared. And again, yeah, we didn't do this really in 10. We did h's and t's, and we were always solving for a single variable. But the same property holds, is that we were solving for whatever we were factoring for up here. Right? So if this was a squared, that holds that that should be a squared as well. Okay? That should be the same variable. Okay, so that's a bit trickier, but again, right, we know more, we're more comfortable with that, so it follows from that. Questions with that? All right, last one then, G, easier one. I went a little easier. I did an easy one. Sometimes after I'm like, ooh, make your brain hurt, we'll end off with a nice easy one here. So this one here, again, just going back over our common factoring. I'll drag it back over here again. Common factoring, we have a common factor of, what do we have a common factor of? X minus, yep, 5n squared, perfect. Right, so again, we know this from before. We're going to leave the 2, and we've got one of these x minus 5s left over minus an x. And we took out 2, and we've got this, so again, there, so it'll be 2x minus 10 minus x, and 0 equals x minus 5 squared, x minus 10, and we're asked to solve, right? So x equals 5 and 10, right? So just make sure that you finish your answer. Okay, so again, common factoring, we can still do common, 2 by 2, all this stuff, everything we've ever learned about factoring. Any questions?